Every meat you've ever eaten came from an animal that eats plants. Every single one.
Say what?
Beef, chicken, pork, lamb, all of it.
What the fuck?
Not one predator, not one carnivore, not one animal that hunts for a living has ever become a staple food anywhere in the world. That is not a coincidence. We farm crocodiles for leather. We farm bison. So why has not one single civilization in 10,000 years of human history ever looked at a wolf, shark, or tiger and thought, actually, let's breed those for meat? And the reason isn't danger. It's so much weirder than that. There are actually 4 reasons, and each one is worse than the last. Well, worse for the cow anyway. Let's start with the math. So here's how farming works. You feed plants to an animal, the animal converts those plants into meat. You eat the meat. Simple and efficient. The entire agricultural revolution in 2 sentences. A cow converts roughly 10 pounds of plant matter into 1 pound of beef. Already not great math, honestly, but 10,000 years of humans decided it was worth it. So here we are eating hamburgers and not questioning it. Now, a carnivore converts roughly 10 pounds of meat into 1 pound of carnivore meat. Which means to farm a lion, you first need to farm 10 times as many prey animals just to feed the lion before you even think about eating the lion. And those prey animals need plants, which means 10 times the farmland just to produce the food for the animal you actually want to eat. You are farming a farm to feed a farm to get a fraction of the meat you would have gotten if you'd just eaten the farm. 10 pounds of grass make a pound of cow. 10 pounds of cow make a pound of lion. But the cow and the lion have the same calories, so you might as well just eat the cow. And that's before we've even talked about what carnivore meat actually tastes like. Which we are about to, and I'm genuinely sorry in advance. So every animal a predator eats contains a small concentration of whatever that animal ate. Toxins, heavy metals, environmental contaminants, parasites, whatever has been quietly building up in its system over years of eating. When the predator eats that animal, those things don't disappear. They concentrate. Every meal, every decade of hunting, it all accumulates in the predator's tissue like a receipt for every bad decision the food chain ever made. Scientists call this biomagnification, which sounds like something cool. Well, I can tell you it's not. A lion eats zebras and wildebeest every day for 20 years. Everything those animals ever grazed on, every toxin they absorbed, every parasite they carried, everything it is now sitting in the lion's flesh. Concentrated, waiting, compounded across 2 decades of meals. So you are not eating a lion, you are eating 20 years of accumulated African savanna. This is why every culture that has ever seriously experimented with apex predator meat has quietly stopped. The economics were bad. The taste was worse. The higher up the food chain, the worse it gets. The math just keeps getting uglier the further up you go, until eventually you're looking at something that would require a medical disclaimer to serve at a restaurant. Now, before we go further, there's a counter-argument sitting in the room that we need to address. Salmon, tuna, even swordfish. All carnivores, all on menus everywhere. All completely normal things to eat. So, what gives? We said we don't eat carnivores. We clearly eat them. Is this whole video a lie? Not quite. And here's why fish are the exception that actually proves the rule. We predominantly eat carnivorous fish. But we almost never eat herbivorous fish, and the reason is exactly what you'd expect. Herbivore fish taste like the plants they eat, which is not good. A fish that spends its life eating algae tastes like algae. Are you ordering that? But more importantly, we don't farm most of the carnivorous fish we eat. We catch them wild, which means we're not running the pyramid scheme. The ocean is running it. We just show up at the end with a net and collect the result without paying any of the costs. And the carnivorous fish we do farm, salmon being the obvious one, require enormous amounts of feed, produce significant toxin accumulation, and get pumped full of antibiotics to survive the process, which is a whole other video. The fish exception doesn't break the rule. It proves it. Every time we've tried to actually run the carnivore math ourselves, it falls apart exactly as predicted. The ocean is just better at hiding the bill. But here's the reason that makes the economists and the toxicologists nervous. The one that's somehow even more fundamental than both combined. Predators are catastrophically, impressively, almost admirably bad at being farmed. Herbivores, cows, sheep, pigs, and chickens are, and I say this with genuine respect for the animals, extraordinarily easy to manage in large numbers. They're social, they flock, they follow each other around with a kind of peaceful collective energy, that makes the whole operation almost serene if you don't think too hard about what's happening. You can put 500 sheep in a field, and they will collectively, calmly, just be sheep, asking nothing of you except grass and the occasional acknowledgement that they exist. You cannot do this with predators. Predators are territorial. You cannot put 500 wolves in a field. You will have 3 wolves by morning and 497 urgent problems that your farm insurance is not going to cover. Every instinct a predator has was built over millions of years for one specific purpose: hunting, territorial dominance, and eliminating anything that competes with it. None of those instincts are compatible with calmly standing in an enclosure next to 50 of their closest rivals, patiently waiting to be someone's night dinner. The cow doesn't want to escape. The wolf wants nothing else. You can build a bigger fence, but the wolf will simply become more motivated. You can add more fences. The wolf now has a project. You can hire more staff. The wolf is networking with the other wolves about the staff situation. The wolves are farming you now. Congratulations on your new role. And then there's the reason nobody puts in the biology textbook. The one that lives underneath all the economics and the toxins and the logistics. We identify with predators, not prey. Think about every sports team that has ever wanted to seem powerful. Eagles, Bears, Wolves, Sharks, Panthers, Falcons. Think about every military unit, every fighter jet, every energy drink, every motorcycle brand, every bank that wants you to think they're aggressive in a good way. Not a single cow, not one sheep. The F-22 is called the Raptor, not the F-22 Angus. Red Bull does not feature a grazing herbivore. Nobody is getting a tattoo of a chicken on their forearm and calling it a symbol of strength and resilience. Nobody has ever named their sports team the Fighting Sheep and expected anyone to take them seriously. Humans have always seen themselves reflected in predators, the independence, the power, and the being at the top of everything and answering to nobody about it. We put them on flags and tattoos and the sides of aircraft and the logos of things we want people to fear and respect. And you don't eat the thing you put on your own flag. Right? I mean, you don't eat the thing you named your child after. Leo is a top 10 baby name in 17 countries. Short for lion, Leonardo, Leon, all lion. Nobody is looking at their newborn child and thinking, that's a cow. We'll call him Angus. Now, the footnote, because some of you are already typing it in the comments. Alligator exists, bear meat exists, crocodile gets eaten in parts of Africa, Australia, and Asia. Snake is eaten across Southeast Asia. People in Louisiana will put alligator in anything and call it gumbo. So we do eat some carnivores. Fine. But here's why those specific ones work and everything else doesn't. Alligators and crocodiles are cold-blooded. Cold-blooded animals don't need to maintain a constant body temperature, which means they burn almost no energy just existing. An alligator can eat once every 2 weeks and be completely fine. That completely changes the farming math. You're not running the full pyramid scheme, you're running a much cheaper, slower, more manageable version of it. Cold blood is basically a loophole in the laws of thermodynamics. Everything else, the warm-blooded apex predators, the wolves, the lions, the bears, the tigers, no loophole. Full pyramid scheme. Every time humanity has seriously edged toward farming a warm-blooded predator at scale, something has quietly stopped them. The economics, the taste, the logistics, the parasites, the weird feeling of eating the thing on your flag. The lion always wins. Just not in the way the lion expects. So remember, nobody eats the carnivores. Their meat tastes like 20 years in the savannah. 500 wolves in a field is not a farm. The fish cheated by making the ocean pay the bill. And Leo is a top 10 baby name in 17 countries. And nobody is eating Leo. The cow never got a baby name. The cow never made it onto a flag. The cow paid for that with absolutely everything. And the lion, it's doing fine. Like always, lying in the sun somewhere completely unbothered with no idea any of this is happening. And honestly, good for it. Language is weird. Food is complicated. And your entire relationship with meat is messier than any restaurant menu ever prepared you for. You're welcome, I guess.